continuing another night of weird crashes. There's a boulder laying in the road, and I'm not sure whether it was the cause of this accident or if it was caused by an accident. But I speculate with all the rain that we had, possibly there was a bit of a rock slide there, and maybe this car didn't see it in time and kind of hit the rocks here. It is weird how these things kind of happen in bunches. Bumpy ride. Boy, I am really not in a hurry to go home. Yesterday I was in Storm Tracker, that's why I was late going home, but today I'm early. We kind of wrapped up early today, and it's been tense at home, and let's just say that some people, it's funny to me how some people, I guess all of us do this, we hold on to our past even if doing so is destructive to our future, especially if our past is completely destructive past. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Oh.
So yeah, it's one crisis after another, and it all comes back to the same thing. You know, like here's a good example. Ramen noodles is a food that, well, ramen is not really a brand, I don't think, but there's a brand of ramen noodles that's really cheaply made, and people have eaten it because it is cheap food. It'll fill you up. It's if you have nothing else, you have ramen. However, many of us who went to college or have had periods of no money in our lives, I wouldn't say poverty, but make sure I don't get killed here, but you know, no money, like limited funds, limited resources, have actually ended up living off of ramen for a while, for a couple of days. And anybody who's ever done that does not have very fond memories of ramen. And most people have gotten so sick of ramen that they would never go back. And I don't mean ramen like the good stuff. I mean like the brand, the cheap brand. It starts with an M, I think. And you know, ramen is, its only real quality is that it's cheap. It's not really good for you. It tastes all right. I like if you have it like once in a while, but well, anyway, the reason I'm talking about ramen is because our kids grew up eating ramen because they lived in a household that never had money, or let's just say the money that they had was going to other things. And because they are so reminiscent of their past, they actually like ramen. It's one of their favorite foods because it brings back memories of when they were living at home with their mother, and you know, and they miss their mother, and I get that. I mean, I understand. You will never, ever get beyond that. But for reasons that I won't go into, they can't be with their mother. And so they have us. And unfortunately, we go through these crises that are brought on by them rebelling against the fact that they're not with their mother and that they want to be with her, and we can't do anything about it. We really don't have any control over that. We just do the best that we can, and unfortunately that's not understood, and we don't help out because we have a lot of resentment against the mother and bitterness. But in the real sense, we have no control over whether they're with their mother or not. It is our job to try and raise these kids to be healthy, happy, self-sufficient kids as much as possible. And we and their teachers sometimes feel like we're being fought tooth and nail against that. And a lot of it has to do with the persistence of memory and seeing the past through rose-colored glasses and wanting to go back to that past. And that past is just not good for them at all. It's not where their future lies. It's where it's just going back to the past, even if it's, it's like an addiction. We were talking to the therapist the other day, and the therapist defined an addiction as a compulsion to do something, even if it means you have to sacrifice everything to get it, even if it's completely bad for you. And I'm like, yeah, all of us have addictions to stuff, something, whether it's bad food or what. But things like drug and alcohol, or sex addiction, those kind of things, you pretty much kiss your family, your loved ones, everything you want, possessions, happiness, all of that goodbye, just so you could have whatever you need to feel better for the moment, the fix. And so, yeah. Anyway, we're passing that building a developer wants to tear down and build one that looks exactly like it in its place, so he could build luxury condos. And the city is fighting him. The citizens of the city are fighting him, saying, "Look, that's an iconic landmark in the city, and you take on a responsibility when you buy certain things. Like, for instance, were I to get my dream car, which is a Studebaker, I know that I would not just be buying a car. I would be buying into a responsibility. Yes, I would own the Studebaker, and I could do whatever I want with it if I wanted to. I could crash it into a wall if I wanted to. But the thing is that Studebakers are so rare now that when you buy one, it's almost your obligation to at least to try and preserve it, but not only preserve it, maybe restore it. And I wouldn't want to take one on, and I don't have the skills, the ability to take care of one in that fashion. But also, I wouldn't want to buy a car that has that much responsibility to it, because it's not an easy task. I would love to have one. I would love to have a 1954 Starliner. But, I kind of fantasize that maybe there's a bunch of parts that are manufactured where I could build one that doesn't necessarily have to be historic. I could just build one to drive and enjoy the aesthetic of the car, because that's the biggest thing about it, is the aesthetic. But, I could put whatever engine I want in it, because, if you take an old 1954 Studebaker and then you customize it and chop it and put different custom things on it, and like put an LS engine in it or something like that, then you've kind of destroyed the historic value of that car. But if you buy one that isn't historic, just, from new parts, then you can put the LS engine in it, you can put whatever frame underneath you can fit, yada yada. So, anyways, I'm been in a very talkative mood. It's part of this loneliness and depression over what's going on at the house right now, which is pretty serious. And I can't go into it completely, just making a notation here. Things are happening that aren't so great. and I'm not excited about it. Downtown Kansas City from Main Street. Even got a streetcar in this picture. Here in the crossroads. Downtown Kansas City is ever changing these days. Like this view. More luxury condos going up. It's becoming a theme everywhere. Sports bars and luxury condos. Midland Theater. It's where I saw The Empire Strikes Back. Had to wait in line. I saw it in 1980 at the Midland Theater. And you had to wait in line to get in. Long line. That's when Midland Theater showed movies. It was a movie theater at the time. And now it's a performance theater for like bands mostly. Anyways, Delaware Street, the River Quay. It's one of the prettiest parts of town, I think. And the whole River Market area is pretty nice, although it's got its infestation of luxury condos too. That's what I call it. Infestation. And the farmers market. People say this is the city market, but for a lot of us that remember, it will always be called the farmers market. Just out of tradition. Anyway, I guess it's time to go home.